and create a plan that allows you to go 2 years from now, I want to be here. 4 years from now, I want to be here. 10 years from now, I want to be here. And I've had people tell me that they don't want to set goals to do that, Nick and Nathan, because, well, what if I set a goal and I don't accomplish it? Well, then I'll have failed. No, the failure is in not setting the goal and not doing anything.
Thank you for listening to the Interesting People You Meet podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Newground Financial. Newground Financial is a full-service investment and insurance brokerage firm that specializes in employee benefit plans, corporate insurance, and retirement planning. Newground Financial serves the provinces of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, Ontario, and Alberta. Find out more at newgroundfinancial.com. Thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting on the Interesting People You Meet podcast across all of your favorite listening platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. By doing so, you are ensuring that more great people just like you have the opportunity to hear from our guests. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for episode 24 of the Interesting People You Meet. Today, we have a special guest, Robert Gignac. He first appeared in my circle a number of months ago when I jumped on a presentation for an insurance provider here in Canada, and he was a keynote speaker. And so Robert is a highly sought after speaker. He combines knowledge, passion, and visuals to encourage people to take control of their personal finances to have a richly imagined future. Robert's presentations aren't just about money. By taking the intimidation and dryness out of financial planning, thank you. He illustrates the importance of perspective and horizons and challenges audiences to courageously paint their picture of what rich really means. Robert is also an author of a number of books, and they're quite interesting. So we're super grateful. Hey, there's one right there, to have you on the podcast today. Thank you, Robert.
Oh, it's great to be here, Nick, and great to be here, Nathan. Glad to share some time with you today.
Excellent. So, as we were discussing before we hit record here today, that we love to just let this conversation flow as naturally as it can. We all love to talk, and we love to talk about finance and helping Canadians improve their financial picture. So, Robert, I just introed you a little bit, but why don't you maybe start with your own bio, your story? How did you get to where you are today?
Well, as it relates to personal finance and things like that, I accidentally wrote a best-selling book on personal finance. And it's this. I'll try to center it in the screen. Rich is a state of mind. And I say accidentally because I never intended to write a book. I wrote a short story for a financial advisor I knew to put in his quarterly newsletter. And within about 2 weeks of him receiving the short story, I started getting emails from people I'd never met going, when is the book going to be ready? To which I responded to all of them, I've never met you. I don't know who you are. And what book are you talking about? And they all said, Mike, send us the synopsis for your book. I'm like, that was a finished piece. That was it. There is no book. I promise you. 18 months later, I had a book. And now it's in its 18th printing, 45,000 copies sold. That I don't say that to try to impress you, the listener, or you, the host. Dan Brown, J.K. Rowling, not losing sleep over my book sales, I guarantee it. But there's something about this book which resonates with Canadians from coast to coast because it's a novel about personal finance as seen through the eyes of a humorously dysfunctional Canadian family. So in short, I wrote about all of us, trying to come to grips with money, investing, insurance. What does it all mean? Why can't the future just take care of itself? What are these goal things everybody keeps talking about? And oh, by the way, I just want to have fun with my money. And yeah, that's a great thing. That's why we earn money. It's why we save money. We want to do fun stuff. But at the end of the day, the better care we take of our personal finances and money, the more fun we get to have.
That's incredible. Awesome. And so we're in the business. We see many different situations every day from, lower income to higher net worth. And there's a lot of similarities and there's a lot of differences. What do you see as the current state of the financial state of Canadians right now?
I think many Canadians right now are, if they're not afraid, they're certainly concerned. Inflation is rampant. Everything is costing more money. We've got economic job losses happening with companies like Google and Meta making millions of dollars, yet laying off thousands of people. And everybody's wondering, there was free money in effect for a long time. Interest rates at 1.5%, 2%. Now they've gone up almost double. And some people who took out $1 million mortgages at 1.75% are having trouble at 4%. So there's lots to be concerned about, but there's also some bright spots, because during the whole time of COVID, when we always talked about people had the FOMO, fear of missing out. Well, during COVID, we had FOGO, fear of going out. So we didn't go anywhere, and we couldn't go anywhere. And so what did people do? They saved a lot of money and they paid down a lot of debt. And that was a very good thing. And if they didn't pay down debt, they at least banked money and put it in there as a cushion for the kinds of things we're going through now. But it certainly is a challenging time for Canadians. And that doesn't make any difference if you're in the mid to lower economic scale or in the mid to upper economic scale. Money's one of those strange things, right? If we don't have enough of it, we like to think, if I only had more money, all my problems would go away. And they don't, because you end up with more money and you just have different problems, and in some cases, bigger ones.
Now, you mentioned that the Canadians are a little bit scared right now, whether that be because the inflation, the interest rates going up. What effect do you think the media has on this kind of fear that's going around, maybe spreading coast to coast?
We need to understand that the media is not your friend as it relates to personal finances. The media's job is to capture eyeballs, sell copies of newspapers or magazine, drive hits and visits to websites and blogs. And one of the ways they do that a little bit is by inciting fear by saying, hey, it's really bad now, but make sure you come back tomorrow to find out how bad it really is. And we start to believe that sometimes things are worse than they appear. I often tell people in seminars that I give, if what you're reading about personal finances and economics scares you, it's okay to stop reading. Flip the laptop down, put the cell phone away, turn the iPad into airplane mode so you can't go anywhere. And it's okay to not read these things for a little while. Take a financial media breather, if you will. So think about what happened during the early days of COVID, Nathan and Nick. So if you had fallen asleep on February 1st of 2020 and taken a 26-month nap, and you woke up on April the 1st of 2022, the TSX and the Dow were almost at the exact same spot, from February 1st of 20 to April 1st of 22, almost exactly the same, within 1 percentage point either way. And you'd have woken up from your nap, looked at the stock market, went, oh, I guess that was pretty boring. Was it a boring 26 months? No, it was a terrifying 26 months. The markets cratered, they recovered, COVID was rampant, and all of that fed into our beliefs about money and personal finances. Was the world ever going to be good again? Was this the quote unquote new normal that everybody was talking about? But if you had just taken that 26-month nap, you'd have woken up and go, great, we're right where we left off, let's go. That's why I think it's okay to take that media breather every once in a while.
So how do the advisors talk to their clients when they're all nervous about this kind of stuff, bringing it to their attention? What would you like to hear from your advisor as a client?
What I would like to hear, and what I do hear from my own advisor, sometimes, Nathan, people think that I'm immune to all of this stuff because I wrote this book. You wrote this book on personal finance. You must be immune from all of the emotion. Heck no. I go through the exact same roller coaster everybody does. You do, Nick does, your clients do, your listeners of this show do. What I want to hear is, tell me not what you think is going to happen, because you don't have a crystal ball. You can't forecast that way. But ask me how I'm doing, where I'm at emotionally. Let me know that we have a solid plan in place. We test the plan. We have goals according to that plan. And unless those goals or direction have changed considerably in the last 3 to 4 months, the plan is solid. Take a deep breath. It's okay if you stop reading the Globe and Mail report on business every day, and that's okay. And we're going to continually readjust if we need to, or go a different direction if we have to. But just let me know that A, you care about me, that you understand that I'm as emotional as the next person, and ask me how I'm doing. I think that's incredibly important. And too many financial professionals across the country, when times get difficult and their clients are at the maximum point of being afraid, I don't want to talk to them. They're going to ask me all these tough questions. That's exactly the time they need to hear from you.
Thank you.
And my guess is, Nathan and Nick, that's exactly what you do.
I was going to say, some advisors, for whatever reason, get scared and they don't want to I don't know. I think communication is so important.
And you know what? It's okay if you were to tell a client that I think the next 3 to 4 months are going to be incredibly choppy. We don't have 100% firm picture. We look at you, and I'm here representing clients, right? I've never been an advisor. I'm not licensed. I don't work for a financial services firm. I'm just a client of the industry. We know that you don't have that crystal ball that says, hey, the TSX is going to be up 18% in the next 6 months. Take a deep breath. We're going to be good. You don't know that. My guess is you wish you had that crystal ball to talk to people like me who were your clients, because you could alleviate all of our fears by going, I've taken a look ahead 6 months. It's okay, right? But letting us know that you're going to be with us along the way. You're going to be that guiding hand on our shoulder if that's what we need, or there to address any of our concerns on one of those days we go, you know what? I don't think the future I envision for myself or my family is ever going to happen. I need some advice or some calming if that were the case.
Absolutely. Robert, in your presentation that I attended a few months ago, you shared a story about a reunion, and I'm just curious, are you willing to share that story here on the podcast?
Sure. I share this story a lot.
Sit down, listeners. You need to hear this. This got me hooked.
It was at a university reunion a couple of years ago. I won't tell you what year of the reunion it was, because I'm considerably older than both Nathan and Nick. Let's just say that it was a lot. And we were all gathered around what I call the adult beverage dispensing area. Okay, where's the bar, right? But this is a professional podcast, so we're say the adult beverage dispensing area, and we were all consuming an adult beverage on a hot August afternoon with friends. And one of the friends in the group was telling us how tough it was to be him. And we do what you do with your friends you've had for a long time. You kind of sit there, you listen intently, you sip your adult beverage, and somebody in the group said, Dave. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said it was Dave, but it was Dave. Dave, would it be okay if I explained to you on behalf of those of us here who know and love you, how you got to be you? He said, sure. He said, that'd be great. And at that point, I was really aware that all of my good friends of 25 plus years had taken 3 or 4 giant steps back and went, oh, this is going to be good. So I went to the adult beverage area. I purchased a pitcher of adult beverages. They gave me some adult beverage cups. And this is really hard to do, this demonstration 3 feet from your laptop, because it involves a great deal of adult beverage or water, in the case when I usually do this at a conference like you saw, Nick. And I said, Dave, this is your financial life. And this, the pitcher, is your income stream. I took the cup and I popped a pen through the bottom and I started pouring adult beverage through it, and it went right out onto the ground. And I said, this is what's supposed to happen. Income comes in and it leaves your life. We all have bills to pay. That's great. But if this happens, Dave, and I pulled the pitcher back, I said, look at what happens. The cup continues to stream. Why? Because you've got savings, you've got an emergency fund, you're working with a financial professional, you've got insurance to mitigate the risk, you're not using your house as an ATM, living on your credit cards, and you get the income stream back online before the cup runs dry. I said, you get that, don't you? And he said, well, duh. I said, great. I said, because that's only step one. Because, Dave, this isn't your life. This is the life of the average Canadian, not living on their credit cards, not using their house like an ATM. I said, but what I worry about, Dave, having known you for 25 years, is your life looks a little different. And I took the pen back out and I said, pop into the bottom. You've got 3 leased BMWs in your driveway. There's only 2 licensed drivers in your house. You've got a 5-bedroom house. There's only 3 people that live in it. You've got a live-in nanny. You've got private school. You've got gym memberships, golf memberships, tennis memberships. You've got 6 or 7 big screen TVs, so you never lose track of the game wherever you go. And I just kept punching holes in the cup with every kind of thing I could imagine. And I said, this, Dave, is your life, and this is your income stream. And I started pouring the beverage out, and it cascaded everywhere, like you could imagine. And I said, but now, if you stop the income stream, the cup was immediately empty. And I said, now, I think you're going to be in a world of hurt, potentially, Dave. That's what I worry about. Well, what I didn't know about during that little demonstration was that about 4 months later, he was going to get downsized out of a little tech company in Waterloo that some of you have heard about called BlackBerry. What I didn't know was that 3 months after that, so now we're 7 months out from the demonstration, that his wife was going to get downsized out of a little tech company in Waterloo some of you have heard about called BlackBerry. You, Nathan and Nick, I'm sure encourage your clients, as every good financial advisor does, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But all of their income eggs were in one basket and it got crushed. So what happened? Leased BMW's gone, live-in nanny gone, private school gone, gym membership gone, 5-bedroom house gone, gone. While they tried to, and they have, rebuilt their financial life with the help of one of you, a financial professional. But it was so easy, not just for Dave, but for Canadians, for all of us, and I'm including myself in this too. It's so easy to build a lifestyle that looks amazing and not build the solid foundation of an actual financial life that will carry you through difficult times. Their life looked amazing, and it all came crashing down because it was built on the proverbial house of cards. And that's the kind of thing that I want Canadians to understand. You don't have to do amazingly great things with your money. Build a foundation. Spend less money than you earn. Set goals. Have a plan. Make sure that you're insured. Have a will and powers of attorney in place. All of these little building blocks so that when life comes along and smacks you, and we all get smacked from time to time, that it's just something we deal with. It's not the end of our financial life.
There it is. We're done. No, just kidding.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, that's it. That's
powerful.
a message I would love everyone to hear, and I'm happy that we have this vehicle to share it, and that you're willing to say that. One of the struggles we have, or I do as an advisor sometimes, is breaking through for that level of trust for an individual to say, listen, everyone thinks they need to contribute to their RRSP to lower their tax or whatever that may be, but they're not willing to take this big step back that you just discussed. It's so important, regardless of our income level. I have clients, husbands and wives that makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they have all the holes in the cup that you just talked about, right?
Yeah.
And it's what message to Canadians and our listeners would you like to, I guess, to help encourage them to have these conversations outside of what you just said? Is there any more to add to that?
Well, the question, and I'm struck by this. I was down at my father's in Windsor, Ontario last week. We had a bit of an ice storm, and he lost a pretty much 90 to 100-year-old maple tree from his front lawn. All that's left after the tree company got done was there's a stump. It was 90 years old. He's lived in that house for 50 plus. I grew up there in that home, and now it's not the same home. The reason I bring up the tree is the question always comes up. If you want to sit in the shade, when was the best time to plant a tree? 25 to 40 years ago. When is the second best time? Today. And it's okay if you're out there today and you're going, I've never done anything. I'm afraid I'm too far behind. It's too late for me. Never too late to start creating a better future for yourself, because that's really what it's all about. And people say, well, I don't have enough money to do that. It's great. If you're working a job where you don't have the ability to maximize a TFSA or an RSP, that's great. Contribute what you can, but start today and create a plan that allows you to go 2 years from now, I want to be here. 4 years from now, I want to be here. 10 years from now, I want to be here. And I've had people tell me that they don't want to set goals to do that, Nick and Nathan, because, well, what if I set a goal and I don't accomplish it? Well, then I'll have failed. No, the failure is in not setting the goal and not doing anything. Let's say somebody set a goal that, by the time they were 65, they wanted to have a net worth of, $800,000. And maybe they're 38 or 42 or 49, but they set that with you as a goal. You help them build a plan. You help them set goals. They start accumulating money and assets and saving and investing. Now they turn 65, but they don't have 800,000. They have 621 or 478 or whatever that number is. Is somebody going to look at them and say, haha, you wanted 800,000. Look at you, you failure. You only had 618. No, that's not a failure at all. You ended up in a different place. But here's what I can tell you as somebody who's not a financial advisor, but I want Canadians to have a better financial future. If you didn't work with the advisor, didn't set the goals, and didn't create the plan, you wouldn't have 618. You might have 23. You might have 0 because you never started the process. That's what I want Canadians to understand. The important part is the starting of the process, because that's what gets things moving.
Awesome. Thank you again for sharing that.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I know that here's one thing that maybe the next time you sit down with a prospect, or you show a prospect this video, or talk to a young client, is personal finance can be complex. Think about all the things you've got to invest in. You've got bank accounts, you've got high interest bank accounts, you've got GICs, you've got ETFs, you've got stocks, you've got bonds, you've got mutual funds, you've got leveraged products, the real estate REITs. There's all kinds of things you can invest in. Oh, you want to have insurance? Do you want whole life term insurance? Do you want term insurance? Do you want participating insurance? Do you want universal life? Do you want disability insurance? Do you want critical illness insurance? You need to have your home and your car insured too. So there's all these kinds of insurance, and some of them are very easy choices, but many of them require thought, right? What about this? Where do I want to be? What do I think is going to happen in the future? So I'm often surprised, Nick and Nathan, when people tell me, I can do this all by myself. Really? You've got the time, the energy, and the wherewithal to sort through all of that stuff. And while you're doing that, you've got time to build the relationship with your significant other, take care of the kids, get them to soccer, hockey practice, jazz, tap, ballet, plan the family vacation, cut the lawn, plant the garden, make sure that the roof is in good shape and doesn't fall through during a winter storm, and keep the cars maintained. Oh, by the way, you're working what, 35, 40, 45, 50 hours a week? The last 2 years, we've been spending all of our time in the house in 75 Zoom meetings a week while we've been trying to teach our kids grade 7 social studies, grade 9 algebra, and grade 11 calculus. But you've got time and energy to sort through all of this stuff that sometimes I wonder where they get the belief that they can do this all by themselves, rather than work with. And I say work with rather than hire, because to me, the relationship between a client and me, my advisor, I've had an advisor that I'm currently working with that I've had for about 15 years now. I had a different advisor before. What happened to that relationship? We grew in different directions. They changed how they wanted to run their practice and their business and their focus. I still like them. They're a very nice person whenever I encounter them. Never a harsh word. But what they needed to do was different than what I needed as a client at that time. And they encouraged me. It's time for you to work with somebody different. And I did. So it is a relationship. There is give and take involved. I've talked to people who say that writing a check in February, we're at the last day of February as we're recording this, quote, RSP season ends tomorrow, your last day. But I've talked to Canadians who say, well, I do financial planning. I write my RSP check every year and I get a tax refund. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's part of the plan and part of your financial future and part of working with a financial professional. It's not the whole thing. And maybe that's what people need to understand, that it is a process. It's not something you do once a year for 35 minutes. And it's like, hey, see you guys next year. It's not. And if they think that's what financial planning and working with an advisor is all about, Nathan and Nick, they're going to be deeply disappointed with the process. And you will be deeply disappointed with them as a client as well.
You got it. Yeah. Not to pat ourselves on the back, but that's it. It's so rewarding to take a client through that journey who gets introduced to us in whatever fashion. And we're sitting there, and maybe it's 4 or 5 meetings that we need to gather the information and have a conversation. It's not just buy term insurance and see you later. It's like, what's
Right.
the real picture here? And what more rewarding of a career opportunity that we have, as professional advisors in this industry in Canada to change the way people think about their money, right? That's incredible.
Sometimes when I talk to Canadians, and one of the reasons they tell me, I don't use financial advisors, all they want to do is push products and sell this and sell that. The real professionals in the industry, you mentioned earlier, Nick, you work sometimes with clients who have excellent income, but they've got a cup with 57 holes in it.
You got it.
And what excellent advisors do is they help their clients plug. You can't plug all the holes. You need some. Life is expensive, but you plug some of the ones that aren't there, even when there's nothing in it for you as the advisor, because it's the right thing to do for the client. You know that if you can help them plug stuff up today, that 2 years from now or 3 years or 6 years from now, that client is going to be in a much better position, sleeping better at night, having better relationship with their spouse, not worried about, oh my God, the ceiling's caving in on this house of cards we built. But it's not about you getting them to put more money in a mutual fund or an ETF. It's, hey, stop spending money you don't have to impress people you don't know. And that's sometimes as a society, I think, and I'm going to draw a line here, which I probably shouldn't. There is I'll call it a slightly younger generation that believes that everything they see on social media is the real world, right? You see pictures of your friends in your social circle out having a nice meal. They're posing beside a fancy car. They're on the beach. They're, hey, just bought this great new outfit. And it's cool. It really is. But social media isn't the real world. It's everybody's best day 24/7, right? I've often said to people, what I want to see is somebody post a picture of themselves under the covers at 3:30 in the morning, terrified because their Visa bill's due on Friday and they're $7,000 short. That will be the real picture that I'd like to see somebody post, but they're never going to do that, right? And it's okay that if you stop watching, what I call financial fantasy television, Love It or List It, Mike's Ultimate Garage, and Home Reno Addict, and all of these things that try to convince us as a society that, if your house doesn't have granite countertops, well, how much does your life suck, right? My wife and I live in a townhouse. I'm recording in my office. If I took my laptop down to our kitchen and showed it to you, no granite countertops. Why? The townhouse never had it. We never felt we needed it. And I don't for a second think my life sucks because I don't have granite countertops.
It is a state of mind. You got it. I remember reading
I think I might have heard that somewhere before, guys.
You got it. I remember early in my days in the industry, one of the first books I read that got me interested in the industry was The Millionaire Next Door. And at that time, $1 million was a lot of money, and it made it,
it still is a lot of money.
It is.
But some people are convinced that, $1 million's nothing. I need 5 million now.
Yeah.
Heck, get to your first and then work on that if that's how you feel. It's an excellent book.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helped instill those, disciplines that, social media wasn't so prevalent back then for me, but, it didn't really exist. But yeah, the keeping up with the Joneses, those types of conversations are very interesting. And even in my career as an advisor, so it's my 14th year, in the early years, I'm dealing with younger, closer to my age type thing. And my average client now is probably 55, which is, quite a bit older than I am. But the problems still exist.
I can identify with that age group, just to be clear.
Great people, by the way, great people. But those problems can still exist. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's that programming in our mind. And so, again, that's why I was so locked into your message, Robert, months ago when I first heard it. And continue to follow your work, because this is so important. It's not talked about. Hopefully someday you get on the front page of the newspaper if you haven't been already with this information. But I don't know if it would sell much to say, live below your means. It's a better way to go. It's interesting.
No, it's certainly a challenge for the financial professional, for guys like you, Nick, and Nathan, to get sometimes people like me who are clients who sometimes don't understand what you do. We're afraid we're not as successful as we think we should be. We're afraid that our friends are more successful or have more money or are doing better stuff. The reality is we're all doing pretty good stuff. We just need somebody to help us focus it a little. And I think that's where the value of a true financial professional comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation with somebody, I'll say an acquaintance, not a friend, somebody I do know. And they asked me, they said, "You're still on that financial advisor thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still on the financial advisor thing." And he said, "They add no value." I said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Sure." I said, "Did you not tell me last summer that you hired a swing coach to help you with your golf game?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "It was awesome." He said, "I took like 5-6 strokes off my game." I said, "Okay, then here's my question. You hired somebody, spent money to help you play a game that doesn't make you any money because you're not a pro. You're a duffer like the rest of us. But you don't want to work with a professional that would help you accumulate and save money and build assets so that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you could play as many rounds of golf as you like and never worry about how to pay for it." He went, "Oh my God, I never thought about it like that." I said, "That's what I'm trying to do, is to get people to think about it like that. We spend money doing things that won't make us money rather than work with professionals who can help us save and accumulate assets so that we don't have to worry about money. And at the end of the day, if we all sleep a little better, I'm a happy guy."
Robert, I'm sure you talk to a bunch of people when you're out. Well, I know you do in your capacity as a speaker, but when you're in the crowds afterwards and folks ask you a bunch of questions, is there ever a question that you wish people would ask you more often, or ask you that they never ask you, or they should?
The question, there are two. One is it possible? And I had somebody ask me this question at a client event I did for a financial services firm a couple of years ago. And he said, "I don't think it's possible for me." He said, I get your message." He said, "But I didn't graduate from high school. I'm a laborer kind of person, and this stuff's all nice, but it's never going to happen for me." And I said, "That's where you need to shift mindset a little bit. It's not that it is impossible. It is possible, but you need to start taking small progressive steps in order to make it better. And if not better, different than what you're doing today." And it's, that first step is often the hardest, but it's the most important one. It's the one that directs you down the path. The second is often from parents who tell me, "I don't know how to say no to my kids." Right? And, buy me the latest video game, buy me this, buy me that, take me to McDonald's, and what I say to them all the time is, I said, you've got to come to the understanding that the word no is a complete sentence. It doesn't need any justification. You are the parent. And because of that, you are allowed to say, "No, we're not going to do that." But my guess is there is, I don't want to say a generation, but there's a huge swath of Canadian kids under the age of 10 that might not have ever heard their parents say no to them. And it's a complete sentence. It requires no modifier, no descriptor, no anything. "I want the new video game." No. "I want to take me to McDonald's for dinner." No. And the reality is, Nathan and Nick, the more we practice saying it, and sometimes we need to say it slowly so that for full impact, no. Sometimes it's a short, curt no. Sometimes it has an exclamation point. But the more we get used to saying it, the easier it becomes in order to do that.
I agree. Absolutely. I have 3 kids under 10, so I hear you. We've implemented the word.
Good
My
luck.
6-year-old doesn't love it.
Yes.
Yeah, good luck. You're right. Absolutely. Robert, we're nearing the end of our time here, and another question we love to ask to sort of close out. And you've shared
Sure.
a bunch of great advice, I think, for I hope many people listen to this, and we'll share it everywhere we can to ensure that. But if there's one thing you could put up on a billboard in Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Halifax, all the major cities, what would you want that to be, and what would you want it to say?
I think, without having spent more than the last 7 seconds thinking about it,
put you right on the spot,
and that's okay. I don't mind that at all. It's nice to be in the hot seat. It might be, and there's a phrase I use a lot during presentations, especially to clients, and I call it your richly imagined future. And it's not about money. It's about the picture of your life that you want to create for yourself, whether it is a beach sunset, a fast car, a sailboat, a family reunion, graduation of the first child in a family from university, whatever that is. The phrase I would probably put is your richly imagined future can be everything you ever wanted if you start today.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Amazing.
And then people would walk around, look at that billboard and go, the heck does that mean? But that's what I would probably put on that billboard.
Yeah.
And then I would say, call Nick and Nathan. They'll explain it to you.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say our website. Anyway, too funny. That's a great message. I love that. Robert, you're an amazing speaker. You're sharing a wonderful message. I'm so happy that our paths have crossed. And continue to spread the word, please. It's so important. I am
grateful
for everyone.
For that as well. It's been an honor to get to share some time with both of you today. And wishing you both continued success for your clients that you have today, and for the prospects that hopefully you will be turning into clients in the near future.
Appreciate that. Now,
Thank
Robert,
you, Robert,
we like to share where everyone can find you. So do you want to share your social media, website, and all of that type of thing, and where they can find your books if they'd like to purchase?
Sure. There are 2 places to find me. If you're looking for information about the book in particular, it's richIsAstateofmind.com. So it's the book title, richIsAstateofmind.com. That's got everything you need to know about the book, sample chapters, and it's got lots of articles that I've written about personal finance for industry magazines. The other place, in terms of more about what I do for a living as a speaker and a writer, you can go to robertgignac.com, which is just my name, RobertGignac.com. More video there, episodes of a TV show I hosted called We Talk Money, episodes of my podcast called Money, Motivation, and More. It's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Incredible. Robert Gignac, episode number 24 of The Interesting People You Meet. Thank you so much for joining us. To all our listeners, please ensure you like and subscribe and share this with a friend or family member. This is a huge message. I think I say it on every episode that this is the one, but it is, again. You've outdone yourself, Robert, and please share this message. It's so important from our perspective. We know it is. So thank you so much.
I'll be happy to share this message of your show with everybody I can on as many places as I can. Nick and Nathan, it's been an honor to spend some time with you today. Thank you very much for having me.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thanks.